Good evening, everyone. Welcome to IQI Canada Evening Talks. My name is Yousaf Iqbal, country head of Juwai, IQI Canada. We are back with our favorite section of the month, which is Maple Mondays with none other than Mr. Haroon Anwar. Haroon, how are you doing?
Thank you, Yusuf. I'm doing well. Glad to be here with you. I agree. It's also one of my favorite times to share our thoughts and discuss some of the current topics. Thank you for hosting.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Haroon. It's always a pleasure talking to you. And we've been discussing so many topics, and we've been getting a lot of requests from our viewers as well that we should try some different topics on that. So before we start, Eid Mubarak to you. We just
Thank you.
Eid
Eid
started up,
Mubarak to
and
you as well.
exactly, after 1 month of fasting, and now everybody's going back to their routine. I'm sure you're also back in your routine as well. So it takes a little time again to, I always say that first few days take a little time to get used to it, and after that, again, you got to just reboot yourself.
Well, and funny enough, you say that. That is exactly what we're going to talk about today, the reset.
Yeah, exactly. So let's come to the topic. A topic which has been discussed, or a topic which we've been hearing about a lot. Maybe a lot of times people don't know about it, or people have got some thoughts about it on that. The Great Reset. So what I would like to start, Haroon, is to start like what is this all reset about?
Okay, so I agree with you. There is a lot of buzz around this topic. And I guess the word reset puts under a lot of scrutiny. What does reset really mean? Is
Yeah,
it like we're doing something we do on a computer, right? Control Alt Escape and we reboot the computer. What
that's
is it?
true. Just reset yourself and
Great
reset the
reset.
computer.
Yeah.
That's right.
What is the Great Reset? Well, actually, this word was discussed and came onto the forefront in 2020's World Economic Forum, which is a global organization think tank which is attended every year by politicians, notable leading businessmen, other academic individuals of great credentials who come in and they discuss topics of interest and relevance to our world. Okay, and these are the individuals who collectively think and reflect on what needs to be done to make sure we have a sustainable world in which we live. So this was the theme of that topic, the Great Reset. And what exactly were they talking about? So there were two or three
Yeah.
major topics that were brought in discussion. One, which we now hear more and more so, was around sustainability. Right?
Hmm.
How do we protect our environment? How do we make sure we have a net zero, carbon emissions are controlled,
Yeah.
uh, that our world does not suffer as a consequence of our, I would say, human desire to consume.
Hmm. Hmm.
We're called consumers, right?
That's
And
right. Yes.
we consume things in the shape of electronics, plastics, food, you name it. We're constantly consuming. And as a outcome or as a byproduct of consumption, we create a lot of rubbish as well
That's true.
with garbage and all that. So whether it's
Yeah.
plastic packaging or it's other stuff that we think is obsolete and then we throw it away after every 2 3 years. So all of that is basically the byproduct of our consumption habits. Now imagine you have billions of people, like over 7 billion people, and every one of them is consuming in massive quantities. It's it's
Wow.
it's taking a toll on this planet.
That's right.
So the first main theme or the pillar is around this. Okay, how do we make sure that all corporations, all individuals, all the governments, everyone collectively comes together and reflects on it and says, how do we make it a better world to live in?
Yep.
That's the number one theme. The number two theme, which again, and there are many themes, but these are the primary
Yeah.
ones,
Yeah. Yeah.
is about what's called now the stakeholder economy.
Okay.
Now, it's also some people call it sharing economy, but But the
Yeah.
stakeholder economy is a shift from the previous shareholder economy, where the objective of an organization was to do everything possible to serve only one interest, the shareholder.
The
And
shareholder.
when I
Yeah.
was doing my MBA, that's what we were told. Okay?
Yeah.
Shareholder, that's the primary objective. But
Yeah.
now the world is saying, well, actually, yes, shareholder is one of the stakeholders,
Mm-hmm.
but largely it's also the employees who are big stakeholders. It is also the suppliers who are big stakeholders.
Yeah.
It is also the customers of the company. So
Yeah.
all have a stake in the behaviors and outcomes of any organization. So how do we make sure that all these different interests, beyond just financial interest,
Yeah.
is met adequately? Okay. Now this is again a big shift from thinking.
That's right. Yes.
Then we look at the third theme. The third theme is how do we improve the world? How do we benefit the world from the fourth industrial revolution?
Mm-hmm.
Now, at this point in time, I'd just like to explain. Some people would say, hey, yeah, I've heard of industrial revolution, but when did it become the fourth industrial revolution? So let me
That's
quickly
right.
cap what are the first, second, and the third before we get to the fourth.
Yeah.
The first industrial revolution was largely the success of turbine engine, where people used coal and water, steam, etc., to power machinery, and it gave industrial power. So
That's
that's
right.
how the first industrial revolution came into play. We
Yeah.
got steam engines, we got vehicles, etc., trains. Now the second one came about when the world figured out how to do mass production. That
That's right.
happened after the First World War.
Yeah.
And again, if you look at it, all these events, they triggered something. The World War triggered something. It gave an opportunity where things were disrupted to create something new.
Mm-hmm.
So we had the after second industrial revolution came the third industrial revolution, which was largely driven by the machines becoming electronic dependent. So there was a lot of electronics that came into play, and
Yeah.
that was way about, I would say, around late 50s, early 60s. We started to see coming in. Television sets became popular.
That's right.
Radio was far more common.
Yes.
Okay, remote control came in,
Yeah.
concepts, etc. So all of these things started to happen, and that was the third. Now the fourth one is basically a an outcome and a driver of how internet has become pervasive in our lives.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, you hear jokes about people like if you take internet away or Wi-Fi away from people, it's almost like chaotic.
It is. It is. It is.
So people go. The world existed. Okay, the world existed before internet became mainstream.
That's right.
Now
Yeah.
the world has been transformed and shaped so much around the internet. I think the world would go into a chaos even if we shut it down for a day.
That's true.
People would
That's
not
true.
know how to operate anymore.
That's so true. You don't have internet for a day also. Even an office or an upgrade going on, everybody's saying like, what to do? We're done for the day. Should we even move forward or just go home and do something else? I mean, that's what happens in organizations everywhere. That's what
So,
dependency
so,
is.
so I mean, I'm telling you, one day is a very long period to have it down. If
That's
it
right.
goes down for 15 minutes, it becomes news items.
That's true.
WhatsApp down, it hits the news. Facebook,
That's
whatever, down
true.
for 15 minutes and it will
True.
hit the headlines.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes. Yes.
that is how embedded and pervasive. So this is our fourth industrial revolution. The fourth industrial revolution is all that will become possible on the back of this. So we will have artificial intelligence becoming part of our life. We have these,
Mm,
like we are doing video conferencing and calls becoming
that's
part of our
true.
life.
True.
Remote
True.
working, robotics, uh,
Yeah.
Internet of Things. I can go on through this list, and some people say, "What are those? Nanotechnology,
Yeah.
biotechnology."
Mm.
This is all part of it. Sorry, I forgot our favorite, blockchain.
Blockchain. Yes.
So all of these things become part of our fourth industrial revolution. So the question then becomes, when we have all of this, how does it benefit us?
Yeah.
How does it benefit human beings? And the COVID period which was a forced period. I mean, in my lifetime, I had never experienced the inability to fly because every country had shut down.
That's right. That's
There
true.
were, there were hardly any planes flying anywhere. People who were pilots, who had a career as a
Yeah,
pilot, some of them had to change their careers.
that's
The
right.
whole
Yep.
industry was deeply impacted by this.
Yeah.
So now we are talking about again, and like a war, the pandemic also created, while a disruption,
Yeah.
but in the disruption came the opportunity. And the opportunity was to see how we can create a fairer world, a more
Hmm.
equitable world, a much better world than we have experienced in the past. And that's why the term the Great Reset.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? Now, I'm completely cognizant of the fact that there's a lot of controversy also out there. Some people
That's
have
right.
will have concerns. Oh, wow,
Exactly.
who are these people? Why are they talking about this? How is it going
That's
to
right.
impact my life? Is it good for the good, or is it just masking? So there's a lot of how should I say misinformation
Concern
out
or
there,
concern as well, right?
concerns as well. So that's a lot of that. But let's not get ourselves dragged into those things
True.
and stay on the real intent or the main
Hmm.
intent. Okay,
Hmm.
and it's all in the usage. How we actually. So if I give an individual a knife, the
Yeah.
intent of the knife is either to cut fruit
That's
or
right.
or perform a surgery or whatever you need to do with a knife.
Yeah. Yeah.
Intention is not to stab someone.
True. True. True.
Okay, but people do that. People
Yeah.
misuse things.
Yeah.
Does that mean that we should stop producing knives?
No.
Knives are still required. It's an important thing.
That's
It's the
right. Yeah.
abuse of that system that needs, or the product that needs to be
That's
controlled. Doesn't
that's
make
right.
knife bad in itself.
True. True. True.
So that's where my context or my personal views are on that aspect. So now, how does it all help our individuals?
Hmm.
So let's assume this all these things that were discussed at WEF, where we had the leaders, the politicians, everyone talk about it, and then they echoed it in their own speeches. These are leaders of places like the U.S., Canada, New Zealand, etc. They echoed
Hmm.
these same points in their own speeches. That means there is an intention to go on that track, and we
Yeah.
can already see some of that. We see companies talking about green bonds, sustainable finance. We
Yeah.
see companies talking about achieving net zero by a certain timeline.
That's right. Yes. Yes.
So all of that means that there is a certain level of acceptance, and people are embracing those views that have been set forth. Sharing economy, we are already seeing. A lot of people are getting onto apps where they can do what's called the gig economy. They will do
That's
different
right.
assignments, and they generate income through that. So there's a shift, which we are already seeing. In the past, we had one career, maybe even one job with a company for almost
True.
40 years of our career or life, right?
True. True.
Started 25, retired 65, or whatever,
Yeah.
30,
That's
40
right.
years,
Yeah.
people stuck to it. Now, many individuals are not only switching their jobs, but also their careers.
That's right.
Okay, so bankers are becoming real estate professionals may be becoming programmers. We
Yeah.
don't, but that's the future. That's what it holds. And that means that the individuals and people need to recognize that,
Hmm.
prepare for it, and then be able to navigate through that.
True.
One of the big aspects of success in life is, as Darwin used to say, is survival is dependent on how well we adapt to change.
That's right. That's very, very, very well said. That's true.
So if we want to survive, rather than criticizing, rather than getting upset over it, we need to understand that the change is here, change is going to happen, and we just need to adapt and evolve with it. And that's where our success will lie. The second one, which I was saying, how changes are happening. So, what does it
Yeah.
mean COVID-19 showed it to us is that individuals can now work remotely.
Yeah.
Organizations have started to accept the fact that not everyone needs to be physically present in the building to work. And work happened, things happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
People communicated, customers communicated, suppliers communicated. Yes, there was a bit of a period of adoption to the new thing, and they had to
Yeah.
adapt to this whole
Yeah.
environment. But at the end of the day, it worked.
That's right.
Things did manage. People did survive
Yes.
without flying or going on vacations, etc. Things
True. True.
kept moving on, right? So
That's
that
right.
means
True.
things can happen.
Yeah.
So if it can be done successfully for 2 years, it can be done successfully with a plan for 20 years.
Very true. Very true.
So this is where the world is reflecting to say, okay, now if we can do that, how does it help us achieve? So remember we talked about the fourth industrial revolution,
Yeah.
which allows us
Yeah.
to connect and do and work in a lot of ways. So just we have to use our imagination how the future of the world will shape up. So then the question becomes, if if there are 1,000 employees in an organization and they're all in different locations, they're dispersed, does everyone need to drive in the morning, fighting rush hour to come to
True.
downtown office?
Mm-mm.
See that's it. And if everyone doesn't do that, then look how wonderful it is for the economy.
That's right.
Okay, fuel consumption goes down.
Yeah.
Fuel consumption goes down. That means the pollution goes down.
That's right.
People don't have to fight for parking to get the spot in the morning.
True.
They have to
True.
stress out.
Yeah.
They can just wake up in the morning without having to commute for an hour, just work from home. They'll get the same amount of productivity
But-
because,
And th- and that is so true. Because that's what we have seen during the time of the COVID. Just to add up what you're saying, is that because everybody thought like now things probably will not go in the same direction. But when we talk about the productivity, we've actually seen the productivity did went up very very well. And in a lot of time when you people used to fly out for a 1 hour meeting and fly about 15, 16 hours to have a 1 hour tour meeting. And it was like, if I don't go there, it's not going to happen. Well, COVID did change all that. All the meetings that went on. And of course, the fourth revolution, what you're talking about, the internet, what we're doing right now is talking to each other as well.
right, right. And this is what's changing. And not
Yeah,
only you and I are able to do that, people who are watching us all over the world
that's right.
are also able to do that. At their preferred time, they can watch it all together at a stretch or break it down. You know, it's very flexible.
Yeah,
And we have seen these changes on and the impact on companies. Now, the other day I was looking at how Tesla's market cap, exceeds the collective market cap of all the car companies.
wow,
It's phenomenal.
wow, yes,
So, is it the car that Tesla invented, or is it a different lifestyle Tesla invented?
yeah, yeah,
So, so this is an important part because what Tesla has done has it's demonstrated that there can be a car that does not require human intervention to go from point A to point B.
that's right, that's right.
Okay?
It's
So
true.
it's not only just creating a car which is running on a battery,
Yep,
it's creating a car that can go from point A to point B without human intervention.
true.
Now, this is the technology we are talking about. They are also
Yeah,
talking about how it, so now you can imagine we can do deliveries, whether we do it by car, whether we do it by drones, but it can all be completely done unmanned
yeah,
or
that's
without
true.
a person behind it.
Yes, yes,
Electronically, sitting remotely, you can have all of that done.
yeah,
Then Tesla, we also saw, was able to change the capacity of the battery and the distance it covers remotely. When some storms were happening in Florida and people were trying to get out, it was
yeah,
remotely able to access and
true,
increase the distance it can go.
true.
Okay, so this is all happening. This fourth industrial
Yep.
revolution is happening. So
Yep.
now we put it back into our personal lives, okay, and say, can all these algorithms, can all this artificial intelligence be put to better use on how we protect our children? How do we protect our pets? How do we protect our elderly? So elderly, for example, who are bedridden and need to have medicine delivered to them at regular frequencies,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. Yes.
And their vitals monitored. All of it is dependent on sometimes a nurse being there to
That's
go
right.
and check.
Yeah.
Now, with artificial intelligence, biomedical technology, etc., all of this can be done to a larger extent remotely and through devices.
Yep.
So that's what I'm
Yes.
saying. So this is the acceptance. Now, where the governments are coming in, and a lot of people are not sure, and that is the context which let me also touch upon a bit on real estate,
Yes.
is
Hmm.
affordability. Okay. Now, affordability. Real estate,
Yes.
is a finite asset, right?
Yep.
Long time ago, and I forget now the individual who said that buy land, nobody is making more of it, right?
That's right.
Even
Yeah.
though Juwai proved it wrong and they created islands on in the ocean.
True.
But it is still a very much finite
It is.
resource.
It is. Yes.
Now, when individuals, a huge amount of population wants to go and buy them, the prices will go up. Okay,
That's right.
it's a simple supply and demand situation. That's what we see
Yep.
happening in many major metropolitan cities. That prices of certain neighborhoods are going, neighborhoods are going up because there is a certain amount of demand to go and
Yep.
live in those neighborhoods, and that's driving it.
True.
But on the positive side, we've also seen people using Airbnb, which is the fourth industrial economic type revolution,
That's right. Yeah.
to to lease out the space they're not using.
That's right. Yes.
Okay? So in the past, if I had a place which was I was not able to occupy, that space was not used, could not be done. Now it can be done. So it's
True.
creating on parking spots. Now you can lease out parking spots
That's
electronically.
right.
You
Yep.
can share parking spots.
Yes.
So that wastage is going down. So again, while we see the prices are going up, and the COVID has nothing to do with prices going up. Okay,
That's
a lot
true.
of people blame different. I said no, it's simple supply and demand.
Yep.
If the demand wasn't there, and the people and the ability of people to buy something wasn't there, okay, then we wouldn't have a problem. Supply
True.
is limited. Supply is finite.
Yep.
Okay? So that's where the balance is coming across. People, you are in the industry, and you've seen people argue that investors are buying, whether they're private investors, corporate investors,
Yep.
they're buying
Yep.
up these huge properties. And in the past, they did commercial and industrial investments. Those companies like export and real estate.
Yep.
But now the impact is on the residential part.
That's right.
But now the question is, when people have so much ability, right? We just talked about it, that careers are changing, employment is changing. So if a person does not know if they're going to live in one city more than 3 years and then move to another city, then move to another city, how much is it worth their time to buy in that city?
That's true. That's true.
So maybe
Really.
new models are required where we talked about it in our fractional ownership or
That's
some
right. Yeah.
that maybe it's wiser to buy into some kind of a co-op that owns
Hmm.
properties all over the United States or Canada, and
Yeah.
that membership allows you to go and live in any of the cities
True.
for a temporary time period. I'm just giving the context, right? So
Yes. Yes. Yes.
it's not something always in a bad way. It's always
Yeah.
there's an opportunity, and if people have invested in those kind of co-op shares or those corporations that own, those will also go up in value.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
So
That's true.
I'm trying to give the context, and similarly, if people don't have to go to downtown, they can work remotely. They can work from anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, real estate. Let's say we take yes, GTA real estate. I completely agree. Has has reached new heights.
Totally, totally, totally. So that also brings me to another thought. When you talk about that, people don't need to travel. You think like places like we work and we just in the shared office space. There is a lot of restructuring which has happened and still happening in terms of people actually looking at it. Just coming back to the point you said that if people doesn't need to travel to downtown. Do you think these kind of places are getting a bit more? In terms of of the usage that we will be using these spaces a bit more, the share office concepts.
I think so. Okay, I
Hmm.
think so that the trend towards co-working, shared spaces, dynamic leasing,
Yeah.
these kind of things will. These are all innovations in real estate, and
Hmm.
they are likely to happen because once people grab
Yeah,
the concept is: do I need to own a car?
that's right.
If I own a car, how much do I use my car?
That's true.
Okay, and if I don't use my car, am I buying it for my usage or am I
Yeah,
buying it for my ego or pride of ownership?
that's right. Yep, yep, that's true.
So once people understand that and start embracing it as a lifestyle,
Yeah,
and the Tesla type vehicles become more and more common, where you can pretty much visualize if you go have to go from meeting from point A to point B. Today you call an Uber, and the guy shows up in the car. Tomorrow, an automated vehicle will show up.
that's right.
Okay, and that automated vehicle may have four cabins, and the four cabins they will have four people in it who are
That's
like
right.
plastically insulated from each other. So I'm just trying to give you a visual car.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Four cabins plastically insulated, but the algorithm would know that they are all calling from the same vicinity.
True.
They're all trying to go to a certain place, and I can just optimally drop them on their way.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
it's very the way you're saying about the car is a requirement or not. So it just brought me something which I had a client in downtown who used to own a place, and then he was like one of these places called Zipcar. So Zipcar is a concept which came in which you can. And I'm talking about like 5 years, 6 years before. And the guy called me and said, I'm going to give my some of my spots rented out to Zipcar. I said, okay, it's just like a car rental. So Zipcar is basically on your daily and hourly rentals sort of a scenario, right? Where people go in and they just say, do I actually need a car? No, I need to probably go get my groceries or do it on that one. Why get into the car, get into the insurance hassle of it? Let me go use it for 2 hours, 3 hours, not even that daily, full day sort of a car rental as well. So that concept proved very, very well.
That's right. That's right. So this is all what's driving the change.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah,
if we just step back and reflect, it really actually helps the economy because yes, the cars are on the road, but
yeah,
only when it's required
that's true.
as an essential rather than just ego and pride of ownership.
Hmm.
Same goes for the houses and real estate. Same goes for the places where people choose to live.
Yeah,
There's this concept in real estate called urban migration. And
that's right.
urban
Yeah,
migration used to happen when people who were from small villages and towns were unable to find jobs because
hmm,
most of the jobs were in larger cities. And
hmm,
these people would have to physically move there and set up houses, etc. It put a lot of pressure on big cities.
yeah,
But I think there's an opportunity now, if done properly, is that people can remain in their homes and villages and towns and still get to enjoy all of this
that's true. That's true.
to a
That's
much
true.
better and hopefully a more greener world that we want to live for, that we all want to live in.
That's true. That's true. You know what, Harun? Great session. I'm sure we can continue talking about it as well. But I can tell you what the Great Reset and the points you have covered today is a lot of knowledge and a lot of things that people probably have not even thought about it, things on it. But as you rightly said, the adapt, change, where people are going into it, and things which are and I can say that it's all shaping up to be or intended to shape up the world we live in a better way, right? So Really, really appreciate it. Amazing topic. Thank you so much. Anything you want to add before we say bye to our audience?
Well, thank you, Yusuf. And once again, I would really like to hear what our viewers have to say, their thoughts, their comments. All of them are acceptable because it creates a very constructive and healthy debate.
So,
It gives us an opportunity to look at things from a different point of view. So we
yeah,
definitely welcome our viewers and people to give comments, share their thoughts, not only on this topic, but anything more they would like to have us talk about in our subsequent sessions.
absolutely. So you can please put in your comments, any suggestions, anything you got while you are watching this show. Even after you have watched the live show, you can always put the comments. It's going to be there on our Facebook, IQI Canada page, and September page as well. With this note, everybody, please take care of yourself. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure having you, Haroon, and I look forward for another amazing session for next month for Maple Mondays. Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye
you,
bye.
Yusuf. Take care. Bye bye.